detection engineering as a practice is probably just going to get kind of absorbed by agents. You're not just creating detections for a human anymore, you're creating detections for an agent. And it's a totally different paradigm. I would assume that 100% of alerts should be triaged by agents. If you give an agent too much power, you're going to go delete your production database on accident. Because it's like, well, I had an error. I fixed the error by deleting the production database. So I won. Humans also have hallucinations a lot of times. You look at something and you misinterpret it. Why did you misinterpret it? Because you didn't have the right context. It's the same with an agent. Everyone says agentic. Is it agentic in that it's giving me a 5-bullet summary of what the alert was? Is it agentic to the point where it has spun up 30 agents to go investigate this simultaneously? Those are vastly different worlds. We live in a bubble here in Silicon Valley. I think it's very easy to think that everyone's like us, but they aren't.
Am I spending more time making decisions or gathering investigation? By the time I've triaged through 10,000 alerts, I was just gathering information, not doing much. If you work in security operations, you probably already know that AI is evolving how level 1 as a whole works. But what you may not have realized that SIEM, as we have known to collect information and help you triage, has also evolved too. I had a great conversation with Jack Naglieri, who is the CEO of Panther. And you may also know him from his open source work called Stream Alert, all the detection engineering conversation he may be having on his podcast as well. We spoke about how detection has evolved since the time he has been involved with the community. What's the gap between the detection depth, which is things that you feel you can discover and detect versus what you're actually capable of detecting, combined with whether it's hosted on cloud or whether it's hosted on a data lake platform, how that adds complexity and how you can use AI as a way. We also spoke about how people are building detection programs in a world where a lot of things can be automated using AI agents. What are the metrics you should be looking out for a typical investigation that you do as a detection engineer? All that and a lot more in this episode with Jack Naglieri from Panther. As always, if you have been listening or watching an episode of the podcast for a while, I would really appreciate if you take a quick second to hit the subscribe follow button, whichever platform you listen or watch podcast episodes on. We're on all podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and LinkedIn. It does not cost you anything, but it helps a lot in helping spread the work we do to other people as well. I also wanted to say thank you to everyone who came and said hello to us on RSA conference in San Francisco. It meant a lot. You stopped us and said hello and shared all the love that you have for the work that we do over here as well. Thank you for all the love and support. I hope you enjoy this episode with Jack, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. Hello and welcome to another episode of Class 3 Podcast. I've got Jack with me. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm like excited, because I've known you personally for a while, but for people who have not been around your circle, don't know who you are, can you share a bit about your background, cybersecurity, all that as well?
Yeah, so I've been working in the security operations space for about 15 years. And I don't know if I look like I haven't worked in SOC for 15 years, but I spent about half the time as a practitioner. Started at Yahoo, which was a big company back in the day, in the 2000s, I think, as we all know. And then I moved to Airbnb, which was a very beloved Silicon Valley growth company in the 2010s.
Yeah.
And after Airbnb, I went to become a founder. And while I was at Airbnb, I built an open source project that was called Stream Alert. And Stream Alert was a alternative to traditional SIEM. And it really solved a ton of big problems that we were having in cloud native tech companies, right? Like we wanted something that was much more scalable, that could be much more capable on the detection side and really cost effective and scalable on the data side. That led us to build our own SIEM, which is something I would recommend to nobody, because now I've done it probably about 3 times at this point, and it's extremely, extremely difficult. But that journey led me to start Panther in 2018, which was almost 8 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
And Panther's whole mission was to make security teams smarter and faster than attackers. And we sort of carried the learnings from the Airbnb days into now what we're working on.
Detection engineering as a whole, I imagine, has changed quite a bit. And now with Gen AI being like the accelerator, I'm curious, just for people to have an understanding of what detection engineering used to be and what it has become after AI. I'm curious your thoughts, considering you're so deep in the space.
Yeah, I think about it in 3 phases. I think the first phase was Splunk.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It was like write a query and hope that you get a response within an hour. And you're bound to this Splunk DSL. And I remember I had a printout of the Splunk language cheat sheet on my desk as an analyst, as a 22-year-old analyst. It's like, how do I use this thing? So that was kind of like my introduction. And actually, even probably before that, were just the really, really old SIEMs from like 2008, 2009, where you just get an alert. You don't even get to decide what the alert is about. Or it's from an IDS, like Snort or something kind of like that. So I think of it as far back as there, like just having a way of expressing what you're looking for. And when we built StreamAlert and then Panther, detection engineering was really around detection as code. Okay. So we built StreamAlert with this concept of Python-based detection as code, streaming analytics, real-time detection. That was like the core thesis behind that product.
Yeah.
And Panther has the same roots.
Yeah.
So when we started building detections with agents, you didn't need to understand how to write code anymore. You didn't need to understand really the structure of the logs and where the logs exist and how you test the alerts and all of that, like kind of SDLC that comes with detection engineering.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about the current state of the world with agents, how far we've come in the last few years. And I'm super excited about where things are headed. And I actually think that detection engineering as a practice is probably just going to get kind of absorbed by agents, to be quite honest.
Wow. And actually, as you say that, I'm thinking about all the mature organizations, because detection engineering used to be a thing where only a certain size of an organization would get to the point of detection engineering. It's not like your small to medium-sized businesses traditionally may not have been able to access that, which is kind of to your point about becoming an AI agent is an obvious thing. That means they get access to that as well. But a lot of these mature organizations have carried, and when we were talking about this other day, it's more called the detection debt that people carry in terms of also the depth between the detection you want to find versus what you can actually find versus the entire life cycle of it as well, of keeping and maintaining that across the board. Mm-hmm. Is that still the case? And if it is, how real is it? Or has it become more easier to kind of get rid of that debt thanks to AI?
For sure. I think that everything has become simpler with agents. Yeah. So if we sort of think about where we are today on the spectrum of AI adoption. So the way that I'm going to explain it how I would explain our own evolution, because I think it's a good analogy to where things are headed. Right?
Sure.
So in the first version of SIM and detection engineering and detection as a whole, you had detection engineers creating rules, right? Thinking about what's important for our organization and getting that alignment from your greater team. Like, hey, what are we here to do?
Yeah.
What's the most important thing to the business for us to protect?
Yeah.
And then how do we work backwards from that into what logs would help us create detections that would help us get alerted when things are actually going wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's kind of the mental math that I go through if I were to create a detection.
Yeah.
It's not just about the log. It's not just about the TTP or MITRE. It's about why is this important?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then I think over time, things will shift, right? The things the company cares about will shift. The tech will shift. The systems creating the logs will change. And I think if you've done this for long enough, you'll know that if a vendor changes a log field, like in CloudTrail, and then you find out about it, then all your stuff breaks. So it's just representative of like, there's always this overhead that comes with maintenance. And then it's like n times number of detections to do this on. So agents have allowed us to delegate a lot of that work. And agents are exceptional at tool calling, right? And all tool call is just a way of saying it's translating the need or a job into an action.
Yeah.
So you're saying, hey, I want to tune this detection. So I can give my agent a skill that understands what that means.
Yeah.
When I say tune and detection, I'm talking about go look at all the alerts from the last 30, 60, 90 days.
Yeah.
Look at what the outcome of those alerts were. Was it noise? Was it helpful? And then look at the actual underlying logs for all of those 90 days of alerts for that particular detection. Look at the patterns and then tell me what things that I could do to that detection to reduce the volume of noise. And what are the risks associated with that tuning?
Yeah.
Because there's always risk,
right?
Because now you have a false negative potential because you're like, okay, cool. Well, I've been getting a lot of alerts, but I don't know, maybe that's fine, right?
Yeah.
Because it isn't just about detection anymore. It's also about response. And when you are in this agentic world, you're not just creating detections for a human anymore. You're creating detections for an agent.
That's right.
And it's a totally different paradigm.
Yeah.
So this idea of alert fatigue, it naturally has basically been eliminated.
Yeah.
Because now you're putting agents in front of the alerts.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about noise as much, if that makes sense. So that whole thing is going to change. Or has changed for at least the teams that we serve.
Yeah.
Because we do provide the agents on both sides, detection and alerting. So it's just the idea of maintaining the detections, the idea of even responding to the alerts, like the baseline assumption in my world now is that you are using an agent for literally everything in the SOC.
Right.
For searching logs, for creating detections, for looking at alerts. And that is going to help you get like massive workflow improvements. It's going to allow you to just do the job easier and better. And you still need someone guiding the agents.
That's right.
Which I think is still the need. You still have the need for security practitioners.
Yeah.
Right. But the day-to-day of their workflows is drastically different.
As you said that, I'm just thinking about all the mature organizations who have invested quite heavily on SIEM, log aggregators, and most likely have a detection engineering team as well. What does this mean for that world where it's a mature organization invested heavily in, and also because this week we are at RSA as well, so a lot of people are walking through thinking about to what you said, hey, how do I do AI security? What would detection look like for that? I am concerned about the fact that I've increased, in my pursuit to increase adoption of AI, I have opened the door quite a bit. Is there no place for SIEM in that world where we are moving forward in this 2.0 world, as I like to call, for tech after post-Gen AI? Or is the world a bit different?
It's a good question. The world is definitely different.
Yeah.
You still need data.
Okay.
Right? Data is the most important lever that we have for agents.
Yeah.
Right. And the way that we always talk about it internally and now externally with our new messaging on our website is agents need really three things. They need a ton of context about what's important to the organization.
Yeah.
What is actually happening on all the systems, who are the people and the assets being monitored,
Yeah.
and what are the patterns it's sort of seen over time, right? So context is extremely critical.
Yeah.
And then they need the ability to take action.
Yep.
So the ability to do hunts on their own, the ability to close alerts out or escalate alerts, a lot of these sort of like traditional things that analysts were trained to do.
Yeah.
And then they need guidance. They need guidance on what's important. They need guidance on really just ensuring that they're aligned really well to the needs and the desires of the organization and security team.
Yeah.
So if you're able to achieve that without a SIM, I mean, you might be able to, but a SIM actually has all those components. Right. So it's like,
right.
SIM as a traditional thing was just a way of aggregating and focusing your telemetry.
Yeah.
So you could do correlation.
Yep. Yep.
Right. That was the whole premise of it. And I always associate SIM with manual, like human led. And that I think was the foundation of now what we're doing with agents. But agents really need that foundation to really thrive. And if it's a SIM or a data pipeline or a data lake, like all of them have kind of blended together in interesting ways, right? Like for example, we were considered a cloud native SIM, as of, a year ago.
Yeah.
And now I wouldn't call us that because we're more than that.
Yeah.
But if you think about the components, it's like a data pipeline,
Yep.
a data lake,
Yep.
a detection correlation engine, and a way of doing searching and alerting. So it's like
all the ingredients of a SIEM, yes.
Yeah, it's basically all the ingredients, but when you give an agent all those tools, it does remarkable things. So it doesn't remove the need to have those dependencies, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the tool will be called a SIM in 2-3 years, right?
Interesting. And do you find there's a level of automation coming to SOC as well? Because obviously we started the conversation by saying detection engineering is for large organizations who have the budget, but there's a whole ecosystem there are SOC people who are trying to level up to be a detection engineer. There are companies that have exported their the SOC to MSSPs. There's this plethora of variety that people have ways to detect and respond. Is this SOC automation happening at the same time for this? And what is that looking like? So in terms of the SOC level 1 that used to be, hey, I've got a detection, Ashish made an alert or Ashish made a detection, SOC analyst gets the alert and he or she goes down the rabbit hole finding out if false positive or false positive. What does it look like in this current world where my detection capability is in quote unquote agentic?
The way it looks is that you're not doing any of the manual triage anymore. I would assume that 100% of alerts should be triaged by agents going forward.
So because it has the context, it should be able to at least give you enough information that the recon is done across the endpoints.
Yeah, we're seeing this already, by the way.
What would be an example? So at least people have some more context. Is that an example?
On how the process works? Or
no, as in it's anything that you can think of is hey, this is a CloudTrail example that we were saying earlier. Earlier, I would imagine I get an alert. I may not even know what CloudTrail is because I'm SOC level 1. And I go into AWS because someone gave me the credentials. And I'm trying to figure out what is this CloudTrail? What is EC2? What is any of that? So now we're saying AI agent can actually do all of that. Can do an API call to an AWS environment, identify CloudTrail, identify resources, identify the 5-step process to identify that first thing. They can actually do it really well.
Well, I'm just referring to the old triage process.
Oh,
right. So let's assume that you have a detection in CloudTrail or Okta or something like that.
Yeah.
You get an alert that is relevant for something that you care about.
Yeah.
And the agents should be able to read all the detection context to understand the intention of the alert.
Yeah.
They should be able to read what actually caused the alert.
Mm-hmm.
They should be able to go pull enrichment and surrounding details about that asset or identity. So the most common question that we always ask as analysts is what happened before this, right? It's like a crime scene.
Yeah.
It's very investigative.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like you are given clues and you need to fill in the blanks. That is the job of the SOC.
Yes.
I did it for a very long time. I also did forensics for a very long time.
Right.
So it's highly similar. And agents are extremely capable of creating those queries and understanding where to look and taking a huge amount of context and then distilling it down into something that is very approachable for someone who is a cyber analyst.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, the reality of right now. And of course, there's a lot that goes into that again on the context side.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because you need to understand, is this actually an important occurrence for you, first of all? And then you need to understand what's the criticality. Like, is this person the CEO?
Yeah.
Are they someone in finance who's doing finance things?
Mm-hmm.
Are they someone in finance who looks like they're doing engineering things? Because that's really bad.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh no, like that's horrible.
Yeah.
But every piece of context drastically could change the outcome. And that's always how security has been.
Yeah.
Give it to an agent and you give it the right guidance, then it should be able to perform just like an analyst. And that's been our experience so far.
Would you say, because obviously the entire industry complains about the fact that there's a lot of hallucinations still there in terms of, and obviously we're talking about a multi-agent kind of ecosystem that you guys are creating, everyone's creating.
Yeah.
In all the work that you guys have been doing, have you been able to find that, because the detection is one of those ones where you want a consistent response. You don't want it to be like hey, this is a false positive, and 2 seconds later is actually maybe it's a false negative. So how do you find ways that you're able to kind of at least get more accuracy on that? And are we there much closer? Because I guess there's definitely people who are on the practitioner side, they're also wondering that, but I've heard this hallucination is a thing.
Yeah.
If I build AI agent, what does that mean for my deterministic things that I actually want it to be? Yes, this is a false positive because the AI agent did the investigation. What's your thoughts there in terms of increasing accuracy?
The first thing that came through my head is like, well, humans also have hallucinations a lot of the times. Like
Red Bull, 3 a.m. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, you look at something and you misinterpret it.
Yeah.
Why did you misinterpret it? Because you didn't have the right context or the right perspective.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with an agent. If an agent is going off the rails, I think it's kind of a skill issue in a lot of ways. The agents are very capable of getting to the right conclusion if they have the right level of context and ability to see all the perspectives.
That's fine.
So I think it just comes down to that.
Yeah.
I think a fully off the rails hallucination is really not a thing of this year or even last year.
Yeah.
I think when frontier models were more primitive, where they were trained on a much smaller corpus of data and their reasoning capabilities weren't quite there, like the ability to just like really do chain of thought and chain of reason and all these things. I think we did see more of the traditional, like, wait, why is it talking about identity when it's a Okta or a AWS alert, right? Like you would see those things more often where it just felt like, yes, this is a hallucination. It's just totally off the rails.
Yeah.
It's much more rare these days to see it. Of course, the models can have bugs.
Yeah.
But you report it to the lab, right? Or you report it to whatever frontier provider that you're using and they typically fix it or roll it back. Like, so I think hallucinations in the traditional sense, like from last year, not really an issue anymore.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure that the agents have the right depth of context. And the other thing I would say as well is you want to be able to incorporate the past as well. Mm-hmm. So you want to be able to give the agent not only what happened in this point in time, but historically what has it seen? And this is something that we've effectively been calling like closing the loop.
Yeah.
Right? Because it isn't really about like this one stateless thing. It's about this is one event over the course of months or years.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're continuously monitoring things. So we have a history of like where I typically log in from. Right? So I should be able to get that context in the context of this alert. And then I should be able to say like, oh, well, you know, Jack lives in San Francisco. Yeah. He logs in 90% of the time from here. Yeah. And 5% of the time he goes to Northern Virginia because that's where he's from.
Yep.
Right. So it's like that isn't anomalous anymore.
Yep.
And the agent should know that because it has access to the past and baseline. Right.
Yeah.
So I think it really comes down to context. You have to have context. If the agents if it knows your environment and knows your assets and identities really well, it can make these same assumptions.
Clearly, you've been working this for some time and quite knowledgeable in at least the building process of it as well. A lot of people who probably are equally invested into the space, they may just go, hey, why can't I build this? You mentioned you have MCP and a combination of Claude Code and MCP. Why should that not be good enough for me to just build this on my own? What's the thinking there? Obviously, you guys have built this. Yeah. So I'm just curious as to where do you see this more like, hey, anyone can do this versus actually these are challenges with this?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I would answer it in a few different ways. But the first thing I'll say is that there is a segment of our customers that are really talented builders. And I have a ton of respect for them because that was me, 10 years ago, right? Like I was a security engineer. I was building software. I really enjoyed it. It was very fun.
Yeah.
And I think that those are organizations that have heavily adopted AI.
Yeah.
They've adopted coding agents like Codex or Claude Code.
Yeah.
They are builders, and like they are people who have opinions about how security should run. And they are creating these multi-agent systems on top of multiple platforms, right?
Yeah.
Ours included. But there's so much more outside of the SOC in security, right? There's product security, there's identity, right? There's now like AI agent security.
Yes.
Right. So there's all of these things that there's a lot of benefits for that sliver of our customers.
Yeah.
But I would say it's the same as why I would never recommend someone build their own SIEM, right? Because it's production infrastructure.
Yes.
That is not in your core competency as a security professional, right? Like security professionals are not developers, and it's not a accurate parallel to be like the creator of Claude Code doesn't write anything. It's like, yeah, but he was also an elite software developer for like 20 years, right? Like he was like one of the best Instagram engineers. It's like those people don't work in the SOC. Like, that's just not the archetype of people, right? Like people in the SOC are really good at understanding attackers and knowing like the latest like light LLM vulnerability that came out, right? Like, but they're not the ones who are like, what type of infrastructure do I need to build to process a petabyte of logs per month or per day?
Yes.
It's just like outside the core competency. And I'll also use another analogy, which is like, yes, theoretically, software has become commoditized 100%.
Yeah.
However, there are still pieces of software that we will never try to build, right? It's like, because that by that logic, it's like, well, why do you need to buy any software? Because I'm just going to go build it. It's like, but then you waste your time building and testing and deploying software that's outside your core competency.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just a way of saying like, my preference is to support the builders.
Yes.
Right? Like that's why we have an MCP server.
Yeah.
And that's why we really continue to invest in it.
Yeah.
And we released it with Block.
Yeah.
So when we were building it at Panther, I went to all the customers and I was like, who cares about MCP? Like, who cares about it? Who wants it? And like, what are you doing today?
Yeah.
And Block had actually created their own MCP Panther.
Oh.
Right. And then I talked to them and like, well, what if we hosted it? Like, what if we kind of like joined forces? We took our learnings, put together, put it open source. Right. And that's what we did last year.
Yeah.
And like, that was that project and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And a ton of our customers have adopted through MCP.
Yeah.
But again, those are the ones who have invested in their own agents or had some internal sort of agent infrastructure.
Yeah.
But the majority of security teams don't have that. And the majority of enterprises don't have that. We live in a bubble here in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to think that everyone's like us, but they aren't. And that's okay. So we build agents on top of this infrastructure and we deliver it to them so they can just consume it and build content for the agents.
Yeah.
That I think is where the interesting security work happens. Not in trying to recreate a triage agent, because you're not going to do it better than me, right? Because I see hundreds of different customers doing it.
Yeah.
And I can get the feedback from them individually, incorporate the feedback for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's why you have products that exist. Like this is the purpose that I serve in being a founder. My purpose is learn and build and provide the best product possible. And before that was just software, and now it's through agents, and agents are effectively the new operating layer. So I'm going to continue to do that. And we're going to ship services that are going to make the agents better. And hopefully it will also help the builders build better with agents. So I have very spicy opinions about build versus buy.
I'm with you on this also, because I think the analogy that I go with is that if I am an engineer in an insurance company, I don't know if to your point about the core competency, I don't think a publicly listed or even not a publicly listed company would want one of their competencies to be, we have a cybersecurity product.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
It does not make sense. I would be really surprised if anyone in the executive team or the management team goes, I think this is a great idea. We should make our own security product. Doesn't make sense. But I appreciate the fact that there would still be a core competency of understanding the detection, the context of what's relevant for your organization.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be just SQL injection, or from an AI perspective, and whatever else that comes next after this. One thing that a lot of CISOs still struggle with is building that trust capability with the LLM ecosystem in general, whether it's agents or AI agents or LLM models. And perhaps it's also because you don't really, once the data goes in, it's like a black box and you have no idea what's happening. What have you seen ways that people are able to raise the trust level for what's actually happening behind that black box?
That's a good question. I think that there's two things that immediately come to mind. The first one is not so much in understanding how inference happens and how the agents, like how they get to a conclusion based on your input, but it's really around how can you control what the agents do?
Oh, okay.
That's the first piece of this, because agents are much more than just ask a question, get an answer.
Yeah.
It's now do a job for me and do it within the bounds that I approve of. So for us, the way that we've defined that is we have policies that say these specific types of agents can and cannot do certain things. So alert triage is a great example of that. Do you want to give the agents the ability to close alerts? Do you want to give the agents the ability to send to someone that ping on Slack? Do you want to give them the ability to revoke a session? If you can tightly control the world that they're in, that is one way of gaining trust. And it's more of a governance-based answer. So that's
of course. Yeah.
I think the other one is exposing thinking tokens is a really important one.
Okay.
So now with like the reasoning models, it will tell you its chain of thought. It will say, okay, I'm looking at this alert. I'm noticing these things. I'm going to go make these tool calls. I'm going to get more context.
Yep.
And even just the act of exposing that is a really great way to build trust, because then it allows the users who are the security engineers, security analysts to debug how it got to that answer. So I really think it's those two core primitives: governing the agents with the right level of permission.
Yeah.
There even may be an extension of that one where you log the action and use it, but you can typically see it in a single agent run. You can see all the tool calls it did, and then being able to see the reasoning is a really important aspect of trust. So if you do those things, then you have pretty high clarity of how that answer was achieved. And then you can say, hey, actually, you know what? It did miss this one piece of context because it wrote a slightly wrong query. Maybe it looked in the wrong time range, which is something that is actually pretty hard to build as someone who just spent, 2 years building this thing out. It's like pivoting, teaching the agent how to pivot correctly isn't always obvious to just an off-the-shelf frontier model. But if you expose the tool call and you expose the work it did, a seasoned security engineer can be like, okay, actually it looked too far back. It looked a day ago. I needed to look 1 hour ago. And that's why it missed something or it gave me the wrong conclusion. So it all goes back to context at the end of the day. But for trust, it's governance around what the agents can and can't do. And it's also exposing the tool calls and the reasoning.
There's a split between, say, gathering for more information versus decision-making. Do you see that change? Because going back to where we started the conversation, when I was a detection engineer in a pre-Gen AI era, I had a hypothesis. I kind of went down that path of collecting the logs, understanding what data am I getting, and building detection for it, and then hopefully maintaining it till kingdom come kind of a thing. But now we are in this world where we're almost questioning am I spending more time making decisions or gathering investigation? Because seems like we were more on the gathering information piece before and less on the decision making, because by the time I've triaged through 10,000 alerts, like all of them turned out false positive because I was just gathering information, not doing much. So you see that paradigm shift as well happening in this
100%, right? Like everything has gone to decision making, in my opinion.
Right.
And you still need to drive the work that will lead to the decision.
Yeah.
So an example of that is like, I want to detect XYZ. I want to detect, again, like every time Jack logs in, not from California. Let's just say. This is how I think I would want to handle that alert. So you encode that. And then if you get the alert, then it's like, did it do it in the right ways? Or do you want to take a next step? Or it goes so much from the like tactical, what's the syntax that I have to remember again for this? Or where does this log live? And what does it look like? Like it's just much more in the weeds. It goes much higher level to, is this detection working as I intended it to work? And are we responding now in the ways that we think is efficient and representative of how we want to protect our threat models?
Do you find that the AI-driven workflows, because we're almost hinting towards the fact that the new world is primarily AI-driven, to what you said, there's a lot more decision-making. That means there's a lot of autonomous actions happening, agentic actions happening. Is that creating a risk that probably we're not accounting for? And how should people approach it? Because I don't even know what role would take that responsibility as well.
Yeah, I think you're orchestrating at that point. Right? Kind of a puppet master. In a lot of ways. And I think the risks, it kind of goes back to what we were saying before. Do the agents have the right level of context and guidance, governance, right? Because if you give an agent too much power, it's going to go delete your production database on accident. Because it's like, well, it had an error. And I fixed the error by deleting the production database. So I won. So I think like the risks like that are always going to be there for now until there's like a well-accepted governance framework. Right?
Yeah.
And the agents will get better at tool calling and, depending on what frontier model you really go with. So us personally, we're big fans of Anthropic.
Okay.
We've been working with them for a while, well before the craze of Claude Code. Right when they were actually just starting Claude Code, one of the engineers was like, we're all using Claude Code internally. I'm like, I've literally never heard of this.
Oh, wow.
It is.
Yeah.
And then I got into it and I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then like, obviously in the last like 3 months, 6 months, it's like exploded. Right?
Yeah.
And the revenues.
It's like the entire internet is on Claude Code now. It's almost like, and I bet you the software engineer in you would have been excited as well. That I think someone explained this as the era of, we're going back to the 90s where it's cool to be technical again. Because the Claude Code kind of allows you to be, even though you're still explaining it in a natural language, but I don't have to be a Python nerd to work. I could have just been doing JavaScript before.
True.
And just go down any rabbit hole that I want. Which kind of leads me to another question where, in the same vein of I don't have to think what language that I'm writing my code in.
Yeah.
A lot of people who are walking the floors would be obviously bombarded with agentic. I'm sure there'll be SOC automation, detection automation as well. As a technical person before, how do you recommend people separate the signal from the noise, for lack of a better word, where how do I even know which agentic is good versus which agentic is just a wrapper? And because I imagine, because there's a technical side of the audience as well, you technically yourself, they're all going, okay, I get it. I can't build it myself unless I'm planning to just become a cybersecurity vendor myself.
Yeah.
What have you found as one or two things that you kind of go, that's the red flag for me, that you can pass on to other leaders as well so that they can go look out for that, I guess?
It's hard because it's hard to get a demo and know that this is the right solution for you. I think this is why we have POC processes.
Yeah.
But the thing that I would look at in particular is a demo.
Okay.
I would always ask for a demo and just take me through what it's like to do this workflow in this product.
Yeah.
And then I can sort of piece together. It's like, well, what is it actually taking into consideration? What does it visually look like?
Yeah.
What work is the agent doing?
Yeah.
Because everyone, again, to your point, says agentic, but agentic has a lot of levels to it.
Yeah.
Is it agentic in that it's giving me a 5-bullet summary of what the alert was? Is it agentic to the point where it has spun up 30 agents to go investigate this simultaneously? Those are vastly different worlds.
Yeah.
And they have vastly different cost structures as well.
Yeah.
Right. So I think ultimately, just generally, my opinion is, if you want to find like the right vendor, it's really a process of like who meshes well with the technology that we have.
Yeah.
Are we in Amazon? Are we a like Google Shop, et cetera? Like we have our data in Snowflake, we have our data in Databricks, we have our data nowhere, right? There's a lot of these like questions that get answered, and then you sort of narrow it down to like, well, who aligns to me on like the process and technology side?
Yeah.
And even the people side. Like in cyber, there's a ton of teams that just outsource to MDRs and MSSPs, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't always need the muscle of doing it internally.
Yeah.
So that also is a way of self-selecting.
Yes.
Right. But then when you're looking at products to run the program yourself, I'm a product person. I'm a pragmatist. Like I spent many years of my life building these tools, and I'm really good at spotting like what a good solution is because I've built it numerous times.
Yeah.
So I always I take me through a workflow, take me through what it looks like to triage an alert, take me through what it takes to write a detection. And I can usually spot limitations in workflow and kind of get a sense of what it would be like to live with this tool day to day.
I think one thing I'm also kind of want to double click on the fact is that some people may also be hesitant to share what they're using as a model in the background. You are very transparent about the fact that we've been supporting Anthropic from the beginning, before Claude Code was a thing.
Yeah.
Whereas if you also hear people just say that, it's our secret, we can't share the model we're using, you almost, and maybe, I don't know if it's the right red flag, but you almost feel like if you're trying to build trust on something that's going to be quote unquote agentic, you probably want to know what's running in the background, because you are technically becoming part of my supply chain at that point in time.
It's true.
Yeah.
And also you reminded me of an opinion that I think exists a lot in the space right now, which is like, well, we all have access to the same frontier model, so no one has differentiation or a moat. And I'm like, that's like saying, oh, we all have access to AWS, so no one has a moat. It's like, all right, like clearly we figured out how to build like unique products. I think the cloud provider is it's become more abstracted into agents now. Like that's the unit of work, and frontier models are allowing us to build new types of software. But I do think that there is a moat still. I think it starts with data. Right. You have to have great data, and you have to prepare it in a way so the agents understand it. So it's really around the whole ecosystem of what supports the agent. the data, the tooling layer, right? Like what actions can it take? How is it governed?
Yeah.
What is their memory, right? Like there's so much that goes into it, just like there's so much that goes into building web apps.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, right? It's like, what's the back end? Like, what's the caching? Right? Like, how does it scale? Like, it's all the same types of things now, just applied in a new way.
What do you think is the future for detection engineering then? Because I imagine people who are uplifting detection programs today, they probably, I don't think they're planning for 2027, but they might be thinking more from at least in 2026, if I'm uplifting my detection program, what am I looking for in terms of one or two things that I should consider making part of my detection engineering? And maybe I am from that 1.0 world, trying to transition into this 2.0 world.
Yeah.
What are some of the capabilities? And I guess because you mentioned that a lot of the triage work is being automated, what is my team looking like now as well?
Yeah, it's a great question. And my mind goes in many different places. But the way I would start to answer this is like talking a little bit about our journey for just a second. So our journey was we wanted to solve technology scale problems. We wanted security teams to get all their log data into the SIEM, just because historically that was either extremely ineffective or it would just be technically unfeasible, right? A lot of SIEMs, especially when I was a practitioner, they would just legitimately fall over at our scale. Because I was at Yahoo, remember, right? Yahoo had a billion users. So they were producing astronomical amount of data that no security product could handle. And that's kind of like where I came up as a practitioner. So we wanted to solve the technology scale problem. Like, okay, great. So I think after that, which is where we are now, we're solving a security expertise problem, right? How do we take the expertise that's in the minds of security people and how do we delegate it out to agents to scale the work? And I think that's a vastly different world where we're in. So the reason I say that is because I think detection is changing drastically. And it's changing because we can effectively use agents to delegate threat hunting, right? And I think that's going to become a new form of detection in a lot of ways. We're going to rely much more on agents with the security mindset, knowing what to look for. And I think we'll be in a world where we start with augmenting the current sort of like linearity of detection, where it's like log, alert, agent runs, conclusion. It's a very linear process. I think what we're going to start seeing is that we may do that. And then we may also at the same time be looking at groups of signals with agents and then trying to elevate new things. And that actually might allow us to identify attacks that we don't have detections for. And that will only work if we give agents the expertise that we have as security practitioners in trying to identify things that are novel, right? And I think that's going to be the new world of detection engineering. It's really drifting into prompt engineering. Like, and I think that's the shift that we're all going through. So if you're a security person, I think you should become an expert at prompt engineering, right? And you should really be an expert at understanding how the models really work. Right. And what a token is, and like really primitive understanding of like how the models work, because I do think that's where the world is headed when it comes to detection.
That's a good thought. Well, that's the technical questions I have. I've got fun questions, but with this, we get to the snack war round. As I said, for Australian and British snacks, crowd favorite has been kangaroo and crocodile. So you can pick your poison if you want. But although these are sweeter ones, by the way, these are caramel British, Dodgers British, Tin Tam Australian, shapes are Australian. These are Vegemite shapes. Twisties are like Cheetos, but these are like lollies. I'm just calling it out. You don't want to be the only one that kind of does not go for crocodile and kangaroo, but
I think I might go for kangaroo. I don't know. I don't know what impression this is making this choice, but we'll try it.
I'm curious as to what does it taste like to you when you have. Because you've never had kangaroo before, though, right?
Never.
Okay. What first thoughts on a kangaroo jerky? Would you, if you were to given a packet and you were, I don't know, watching something or just were clot coding away, would you finish a packet? It's good enough for that, but does it taste exactly as you expect it to be, like a gamey, meaty, like?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'd give it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you're a foodie yourself, so what's the rating? So 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd give it a 5 out of 10.
Wait, do you want to try the crocodile as well?
I'm good.
Fair.
I mean, you know my stance on nutrition.
And I appreciate that. Sorry, the 3 questions that I have, I've got 3 fun questions for you. First one, what do you spend most time on when you're not trying to solve the detection engineering problems of the world?
To be honest, like I am a workaholic. I'm a founder, so I've never really turned that off, especially in the last 2 years. Really, like as AI started eating the world. I never really took a break. And I honestly don't really have any, it sounds so depressing, right? Like if you asked me this like 2 years ago, I would have been like, I love to cook. I'm really into fitness. I love running, right? Like, and I still do those things, but much less, right? Like my schedule is very crazy and I squeeze in a 30-minute workout in the morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have said nutrition, fitness, longevity, like those are like my big interests outside of cyber and tech.
Awesome. And second question, what is something that you're proud of that is not on your social media?
That's not on my social media.
Yeah.
You mean like LinkedIn?
Yeah. Could be any, I mean, it could be any social media. I mean, I don't know what else. It could be Instagram, could be anything.
I don't know. That's a good question. I try not to like, I don't have like an immediate answer in my mind, which is boring. And I don't like to brag.
Some people go for family, some people go for, I don't know, team, but depending on what connects with you the most, I guess, because it's one of those ones where everyone has this thing that it's not, I don't know the right word for it, but if you don't have nothing to do, it's totally fine as well. But I'm just giving you what I've heard other people say, and 98% of them are about family and like, because I imagine they're going to watch this later on, which is why they're like, my family and my kids are the most important. Looking straight into the camera, like the treasures of my life.
Okay, I have an answer.
Yeah.
It might be really, I mean, I don't really post on LinkedIn much. And if I do, it's about purely work and AI and stuff. But
yeah.
I would say I'm proud of being here in San Francisco.
Oh.
Right? Like I never would have thought that I would have been a founder. I never would have thought that I would have the opportunity to live in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
And it always felt like a very unachievable thing to me as someone who came out here 14 years ago as an analyst, right? Like barely could afford living in the Bay Area. It's very, very expensive here.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that I said yes to opportunities and I also had a lot of people help me along the way, right? It's certainly not, I'm a solo founder.
Yeah.
I have said yes to a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like the willingness to like try new things. And I am proud of that. And I think
awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. The third question that I had for you was favorite cuisine or restaurant that you can share with us.
Oh, that's such a tough question. I think I would say Japanese is one of my favorites and it's tied with Mexican.
Oh,
I married into a Mexican family. So,
fair.
So I absolutely love Mexican food. It is an incredible cuisine, especially when you travel to Mexico.
Oh,
it is totally different from having it in the States.
Oh, really?
It's 100 times better. It probably is my favorite.
You probably get more local food as well then, I guess, which is probably not served in restaurants as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, things are just significantly fresher as well, right? It's like, I think with food, like you always want to have stuff as soon as possible.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like,
fair, man.
Like, fair. Also, Mexican and Japanese. We went to Japan in October. Absolutely incredible. 100% recommend it to everybody.
I would check that out as well. But where can people find more about the work you guys are doing at Panther and yourself as well? Connect with you.
Yeah, panther.com.
Yeah. And I'll put your LinkedIn as well. People can connect and talk to you more about this as well. But
yes,
thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, detectionatscale.com too.
Detectionatscale.com.
Yeah, my own podcast.
Oh, actually, yeah.
In my blog, yes.
Definitely just check out his podcast as well for sure. Great conversation there. Thank you. Thank you for listening or watching this episode of Cloud Security Podcast. This was brought to you by techriot.io. If you are enjoying episodes on cloud security, you can find more episodes like these on cloudsecuritypodcast.tv, our website, or on social media platforms like YouTube, LinkedIn, and Apple Spotify. In case you are interested in learning about AI security as well, do check out our sister podcast called AI Security Podcast, which is available on YouTube, LinkedIn, Spotify, Apple as well, where we talk to other CISOs and practitioners about what's the latest in the world of AI security. Finally, if you're after a newsletter, it just gives you top news and insight from all the experts we talk to at Cloud Security Podcast. You can check that out on cloudsecurity.newsletter.com. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.